just had to put this down because there is something about this that a lot of romances bother me about. And I did not intend to film this. This was not, like, my original plan was just going to be a reading update, especially because it's quite a big deal, as I said in my last video, that I was going to give Emily Henry another chance. I need to preface this. I'm 35 pages in, okay, and on top of that, the fact that I already prefer this to People We Meet on Vacation is a big deal, because I really do so far. I have never in my, God, I want to say 5 years, which would really make, no, it's about 3 years, I think, where I've been posting consistently about books on every single platform. I have never once used my degree to talk about any of this. I've never once brought it up. It's time. Okay, so I have a degree in film. However, my degree it touched on everything. We did literally every single thing you can think of, from like acting to obviously editing to even a bit of marketing, honestly, which was helpful, and I actually enjoyed, which included social media, so hello. But my main thing, my speciality, was script writing. So it was like film bracket script writing, my minor, if you will. I don't know how it works in America, but that's not how it works here. But yeah, essentially the equivalent was script writing. Or is it major? I don't know, but anyways, I'm running into a lot of problems at the moment with romance novels, and I don't know why, because I think I'm noticing it more recently than ever, but it's not new books. Like, this isn't brand new. I mean, it's newer, but, well, I guess it maybe is. Maybe it is newer books that I'm noticing this in. Yeah, my problem with these is the dialogue. So my high degree, again, my speciality was in script writing, but even more specifically, that means that I have a degree in dialogue, in writing dialogue, essentially. Why can we not write humans like they're humans? It really, really baffles me, because I'm 34 pages into this, and there are lines where I'm like, no one in their life would ever say that. No one says that. But the thing is it's not singular to Emily Henry. This is very universal language used in books. And I say in books because obviously a lot of books then become rom-coms or are inspired by rom-coms, and you can see the inspiration. However, the difference is when someone's writing a script, the number one priority is making the characters sound like real people. As a scriptwriter, you still have to put the story together. You are writing the plot, the story, all of it. However, because the main thing that reflects your literal writing is dialogue, that's the biggest focus. So I physically had to stop and say these, because I was just like, these are said so often, but no one says them in real life, and that's what bugs me about it, because it's like, it takes me out of these books sincerely. Look, you don't have to be incredible at writing dialogue, you just have to not say these things, and I'll be like, that was a good book. So for example, this is not a spoiler, again, with 34 pages in, she says, I'm not city Nora anymore, I'm laid back, go with the flow Nora. crickets. Full-blown fucking crickets. What have we come to as a society? So this was another thing is like, no one calls their sister sissy. Sissy. I barely call my sister sis. What is this? And then there was another one that really pissed me off. I mean, in general, the dialogue is quite repetitive, and it's only 30 pages in. But one thing I teetered on the edge of liking/disliking was, so far they've mentioned about 5 different movies in 5 different books. That's literally like so many references in the first few pages, and at one end I don't mind it, because in real life, in real dialogue, you do reference media, you do talk about movies, you do talk about books, but the way that she's done it is that it's, I'll read it out to you right now. And I'm also like 3 sleepless nights away from snapping and pulling a "where'd you go, Bernadette, if not the full Gone Girl, I need this." It's not the references, it's how it's referenced. Like, the thing is I understand, actually I don't understand, because I know editors and I assume that their perspective is different to mine, obviously, because my head comes from a script writing background, they come from a book background. However, there is nothing that should be different between the dialogue in a film and the dialogue in a book, as long as you write it correctly, either way. I always think about how there are TV shows now, like for example, I saw one that was like the new Rachel Sennett, which is I Love LA. Not my kind of show, but I loved the snippets I saw of how she wrote dialogue, because it's realistic, and that can very easily be the exact same in books. Why we are able to have more, you know, really severe subjects spoken about in books, such as, you know, if you want to talk about things like the new fucking Alchemized, where he fucking rapes her and it's romantic, apparently. Fucking people are fucking psychopaths. I think everyone involved in that who reads it is a psychopath. The way we're able to do that, and not on the same spectrum at all, you know, have full-blown smut books, which I love, slay, but our characters rarely ever swear. Rarely. I can't tell you the last book I read where someone swore, and I swear in every fucking sentence. Ask my friends, I swear non-stop. But also I am surrounded by like all my friends. We all swear a lot. We swear very flippantly. It's not crass, it's not rude, it's funny, it's an expression. And I don't feel like that's a new thing. I don't feel like that's a generational thing. I have, you know, all my older people in my life, they also swear. You know, maybe not my granddad, but everyone else, especially if they're really heated, or, you know, why can we not use things like that to express humane emotion, but we can have full-blown rape in a book? Every day something baffles me about this industry. Every day something baffles me about this industry. Every day. Okay, every day. This is our chance, Nora. Let's take a trip, just the 2 of us. The first bit is what bothers me. This is our chance. You don't say that in most scenarios. Okay, if you want, I'm talking to myself here, but I'm challenging myself here because I want to prove it to myself, okay? What would you say in that scenario in real life? Let's take a trip, just the 2 of us. This is our chance, Nora. So the context is this is between sisters. And what would I say to my sister? I would say, this is so English though. I will preface it. It's very English. This is obviously Emily Henry, and this is in general, this is based in America. So there's that difference, I guess. But like, I would literally be like, do you want to? Instead of this is our chance, I'd be like, do you want to go? Is that something that you want to do? That's also a little bit formal. If I was like, if it was really, really like, the reason I'm saying it quite formally is because she's very serious in this chapter, and you know, she's desperate to get away, and it's not like a girls trip, it's like something's wrong. I think in general, I want to see realistic dialogue. More, please. More, please. More, please. More. Because it just does take away from the experience. I really want to find this other sentence she fucking said that really bothered me. See, even this, what the hell kind of dating apps are you on, Nora? I'd be like, what the fuck kind of dating apps are you on? Why can't we say that? I don't understand. How is, because you cannot tell me that that's an age thing, because these are adult books and there's a full-blown sex, and then if it's like a fantasy, there's full-blown gore in some of them. You can't tell me the same people who read and praise A Little Life are scared by the word fuck. What is going on? We have to take a picture. I'd be like, take a picture. Do you know what I mean? It's small things. It's not things like this won't bother people as much as it bothers me, and I do know that. Okay, this is another thing I don't like, but it's not dialogue. For context, I also am an author. But alas, in books and movies, characters like me always live in cement-floored lofts with bleak modern art and 4-foot vases filled with like scraggly black twigs for some inexplicable reason. It's a lot of faff. It's just a lot of word vomit. And I also don't like, that was one fucking sentence as a paragraph, and then on top of that, that's not true. In books and movies, characters like me always live in cement-floored lofts with bleak modern art, blah, blah. No, they don't. Honey, like, the past few years, characters like this are consistently like in sweet little warm cozy apartments. I couldn't tell you a book or movie I've watched recently where a character like this, and I know I'm taking it literally, but also like at the same time, that was an unnecessary, I feel, yeah, something about it really bothers me. This is something I might text someone, because like when you text, you think about it more, and you are able to phrase things more and have more time to really exaggerate. But this, when you're having a face-to-face conversation with someone, you often do not go, the last time I read it, I cried so hard I pulled a muscle in my back. And I know that's not how they're saying it, but you know what I mean? That's not something that you say, you know. If you, like, you would say something so like off a whim, and it would be like really stupid and maybe not even funny, but because you're in a conversation, you're not having a lot of time to think the way you do a text. Whereas it comes through that this is meant to be funny, but Emily Henry is writing this the same way that you would write a text, without thinking about the dialogue as a human being in real life and how that conversation would really go. Like in real life, if I was saying this to a friend, I'd be like, the last time I read it, I cried so hard I pissed myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just, it's not so exaggerated, it's just funny. Like, that's it. I think my point is, I would love a romance novel that just speaks like a human would speak. And that doesn't mean to say that they have to be absurdly normal, because I always think about Call Me By Your Name and the beautiful dialogue in that novel, and you know, there's a whole monologue in there, and it's like, okay, how often do you have a monologue? But at the same time, the way the monologue is written is a realistic piece of writing. It's a realistic piece of both literature and dialogue. And I often think about how we do interact with people and how misrepresented those things are in this. I recently read, and this is a whole other conversation. I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and we're both queer, and we were saying how sapphic books are usually, one, written by white women, and two, really badly done. I'm bi, and I cannot name a single sapphic book I've read. I have read them, but because I've hated every single one, and it's not like this is awful, it's just, this is so like forgettable. However, I did read a queer romance recently by Tessa Hatfield, who I know and love, and she's amazing, and it was called Say It Again. And what I found was the dialogue in that was incredible. Even if you don't like the plot, the book itself, I immediately thought, oh my god, Tessa has to write films or TV, because this dialogue is just hilarious. And like, I don't often laugh out loud at books, but I was like, this is just perfect. The way these two characters speak to each other, especially the well, I was gonna say the main guy, but like, you know, they were both the main guys, but I think his name was Daniel. I think it was Daniel and Aiden, I can't remember which one it was. The one who owned a dance studio. The way he spoke was so spot on. I think it's also hard when you're writing another generation. You know, even if it's just the generation next to yours, that's still very hard to write realistically. And she did, and I was amazed. I was so amazed by that dialogue. And I desperately wish that dialogue was in everything else. I really, really do, because I think I'm very sick of the pander to men and like how women come off almost all the same. You know, they're all interested in the same thing, even if it's not exactly the same, it's near the same. And you know, I want to read a book where someone is a little bit fucking nuts, like, you know, not nuts as in psycho, I mean a little bit kooky, a little bit fucking weird. And I don't mean that she likes to wear red nail polish and be different. I'm like, I want to read about a girl who says fuck all the time, and I want to read about a girl who like fucking loves true crime, and I want to read about a girl who like dead ass would rather like shove her foot up her own ass than speak to a man, but she still falls in love and has her happy ever after. You know, like, I want those realistic, funny, complex dialogue and situations in books, and I don't think that's hard. And you know, I don't think, like, my books are romance / contemporary, and I've had loads of romance imprints read it and be like, this is too contemporary, and that's because my characters are actually complex. There is complexity in my writing, and I do personally think that my writing it will read as someone who has experience with writing, like, you know, TV and film and scripts rather than books, but I still love writing books, and do have creative writing qualifications still. But yeah, there's something there that, my book is here. I'm gonna compare. I'm gonna do it. It's open to a random page. I love when I read my book because it's like my babies. My babies. Okay, so for example, okay, here's one sentence, and it's not nothing special, but the context is the main female character just kind of had her first little day out with her boyfriend's mum, and she says, she's lovely, I mean it, she's just like you, and she told me a lot about you, about when you were a child. And then she goes, he replies, and then she goes, it's cute, you're cute. And that repetition happens all the time in dialogue, in real life dialogue. You repeat yourself a lot. And I don't even mean in stuttering, because I stutter sometimes, but like, you do repeat yourself. I'm doing it now like a fucking idiot, but I got you this because I thought about, this was a Christmas present she gave him. I got you this because I thought about what I would want to give you if I had the choice of anything and everything. Nothing materialistic came to mind. Then I thought if I could give you anything, it would be the whole world. This was second best. Even things like this. She's saying to her boyfriend's parents about how she never had the same kind of relationship with her parents that they have with her boyfriend. And she says, no, not at all. I just, like, they asked if they had upset her. She says, no, not at all. I just don't have any good childhood memories that involve my parents. I've never quite felt like I was part of a family. You have such love for each other. It's so beautiful. I guess I'm just envious I never had that. That bit of like, I guess, is like really important, because it's like, I'm just envious I never had that is too direct. When you're someone who's processing something, you're like pondering, you're wondering, you're still literally guessing. Yeah, there's still like a fictionalized aspect to it, of course, because you have to enhance the story, you have to talk about the story, you have to further the story along. But there's never a book that I read like this where I'm like, it's not that deep, it's just, for me, it takes me out of it, and it's just something I really do think about, to be honest. So it's really interesting for me to sit down and actually analyze, because I don't get the chance to do that quite often, and or at all realistically. But also, like, I'm intrigued to see where this goes, because the story itself is a lot better for me than people we meet on vacation so far. Also, like, is it a stylistic choice? For example, in my book, there are things that the main character says where it's meant to sound like she's a child, because one, she is young, she's not a child, but she is young. Two, English isn't her first language, so she's very much so like learning still. And three, she is meant to be a naive person and learning things for the first time, not just the language, but things out in the world for the first time. So I'm curious to see if that's a stylistic choice. Most of the time it isn't, but because it's quite like on the forefront, I'm wondering if that's the case. Probably not, but alas, those are my thoughts as someone with a degree in script writing. I think it's interesting to analyze, and I'm always someone who's like, why don't we write realistic dialogue? Why don't we have characters who swear? I want to know the whys. So if you do know, if you're in the industry and you know why they don't do that, I'd be really interested to know. I think like you can tell when people are really heavy on the narrative book side of things, and that's great, but you can always also tell when there's a weak point in the dialogue. And I think what would be great, and in an ideal world, is that books like this have people from both sides. Someone who's like, dialogue is realistic, great, narrative is beautiful, great. I think that is so powerful to have someone on both ends doing that, because that's what this needs. I think that's what all books need. And I think also if someone is able to master both, they are naturally going to be quite an incredible writer. And I would say John Green is one of them. He's absolutely one of my favorite authors ever. He is brilliant at it, absolutely beautiful. Andre Ackerman is another one, and Hamya, who wrote A Little Life. I don't care what you say about A Little Life as a book itself, as a plot. She can write dialogue. I love it, and I think also she's very good at the narrative aspects of things too. So I think those three people are great examples of really balanced writers. So yeah, it's something to think about. I don't know, but it's interesting, especially because they get adapted, they get turned into movies and shows and stuff. So yeah, it's interesting. Anyways, if you enjoyed this, which I hope you did, it was a lot of repetition and rambling of my personal thoughts, which are not supposed to be taken like personally at all, but I hope you did enjoy it nonetheless, and I hope to see you in my next video. I love you guys, bye.